Hi, this is Kendall Boyson, professional life and recovery coach, and you're listening to Encouragementology, the practice of instilling hope. You are listening to Encouragementology, and we are talking about sorting it out. What stays and what goes. Can you say overwhelmed? How could you possibly make sense of all the information, directions, advice, restrictions, opinions, ideas, research, statistics, and more? It's impossible. Oh, and wait, you had your own before you heard anything else. Being in this chaotic state might encourage you to shut down as you try to process it all, or to be defensive as you shelter and protect your own ideas. Well, relax. It's not an all or nothing situation. Life is evolving, and you are evolving too. Maybe not at the same rate, but there's always room to grow and expand your ideas. Now, what stays and what goes? That's what we're going to sort out on this show. Let's first find the source of the chaos. It doesn't take a genius or an extensive study to uncover the fact that today, everyone has a platform. Before 24-hour news coverage, the internet, and social media, people shared ideas with their family, coworkers, and close friends. It was more of a telephone game, which had its own pitfalls altogether. But now you can inform the masses of how you feel on any subject under the sun at any time. And it's not just you, it's everyone. Information overload. At the same time, our brains are revolting, saying, enough. I'm not reading all this, so instead I'll scan. Hey, brain, the marketers beat you to it. Add sensational headlines, breaks in the text, different font, color, size, embedded videos, and jumping ads. They are working to get your attention and leave an impression one way or another. No wonder burying your head in the sand is still a popular option. But if you can sort through all the hullabaloo to find what fits for you, you might have a chance to shift your perspective in a healthy way. What happens when all the information just causes you to feel worse? Worry, anxiety, fear, anger, and helplessness. Your positive energy replaced by the negative energy you absorb. Some of us can't practice, I'm rubber, you're glue, so whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you. Empathy is critical to having healthy human connections. But being an empath is a little different. Dr. Judith Orloff, a pioneer in the field, describes empaths as those who absorb the world's joys and stresses like emotional sponges. Sensitive people or empaths have an ability to be emotional sponges that can heighten when they are at a social event, around coworkers, or in crowds. If empaths are around peace and love, their bodies assimilate these and flourish. Negativity, though, often feels assaultive or exhausting. For empaths to fully enjoy being around others, they must learn to protect their sensitivity and find balance. Here are 6 strategies to help you manage your sensitivity more effectively and stay centered without absorbing negative energy. Number 1, move away. When possible, distance yourself by at least 20 feet from the suspected source. See if you feel relief. Don't err on the side of not wanting to offend anyone. At the gathering, try not to sit next to the identified energy vampire. Physical closeness increases empathy. Number 2, surrender to your breath. If you suspect you're picking up someone else's negativity, concentrate on your breath for a few minutes. In contrast, holding your breath keeps negativity lodged in your body. To purify fear and pain, exhale stress and inhale calm. Picture wholesome emotions as a gray fog lifting from your body and wellness as a clear light entering in. This can produce quick results. Number 3, practice meditation. Be sure to meditate before any gathering. Center yourself. Feeling your heart. Get strong. If you counter emotional or physical distress while at an event, act fast and meditate for a few minutes. You can do this by taking refuge in the bathroom or any empty room. If it's in public, close the stall. Meditate there. Calm yourself. Focus on positivity and love. Number 4, set healthy limits and boundaries. Control how much time you spend listening to stressful people and learn to say no. Set clear limits and boundaries with people, nicely cutting them off at the pass if they get critical or mean. Remember, no is a complete sentence. Number 5, visualize protection around you. Research has shown that visualization is a healing mind-body technique. A practical form of protection many people use, including healthcare practitioners with difficult patients, involves visualizing an envelope of white light around your entire body. Or with extremely toxic people, visualize a fierce black jaguar patrolling and protecting you. Number 6, define and honor your empathetic needs. Safeguard your sensitivities. In a calm, collected moment, make a list of your top 5 most emotionally rattling situations. Then formulate a plan for handling those so you don't fumble in the moment. Here are some practical examples of what to do in situations that predictability is difficult. If someone asks too much of you, politely tell them no. It's not necessary to explain why. As the saying goes, no is a complete sentence. If your comfort level is 3 hours max for socializing, even if you adore the people, take your own car or have an alternate transportation plan so you don't get stranded. If crowds are overwhelming, eat a high-protein meal beforehand. This grounds you. And sit in a far corner of, say, a theater or a party, not dead center. Some empaths are highly sensitive to scents. If you're overwhelmed, stand near a window or take frequent breaks to catch your breath. It's important to be honest with yourself to develop a healthy boundary and strategy that works for you. Finding gratitude first thing and keeping it throughout your day is paramount to a healthy lifestyle. There are those who haven't uncovered this secret yet and will test you daily with their negativity. Choose wisely what you participate in. Ask for permission to share, not by raising your hand, but by noticing the other person and where they are. This models the behavior you expect in return. Now, it's slow going. Our culture has become accustomed to oversharing, so you might have to be patient. Start a conversation with a positive statement and avoid the feeling to me too. This means to allow someone to share a story and then move on without your input. It isn't always necessary or productive to share your relatable event as a way to connect. While you're at it, restraint is a wonderful virtue. It's okay for someone to share their opinion without opposition. Listening to someone is not agreeing with their position. It's just listening. Allow them to speak their mind. When you're willing, and then move on. A conversation at the water cooler or even on social media is not the place for an educational moment. So, What could you glean from this avalanche of information? What stays? Lauren Shin wrote about this, and she wrote about her thoughts of Daniel Levitin, McGill University psychology professor and author of The Organized Mind, Thinking Straight in the Age of Information Overload. In 1976, there were 9,000 products in average at grocery stores, and now it's ballooned to 40,000 products. And yet, most of us can get almost all of our shopping done in just 150 items. So you're having to ignore tens of thousands of times every time you go shopping. By one calculation, we've created more information in the last 10 years than in all of human history before that. All of this is more information than the brain is configured to handle. The conscious mind can pay attention to 3, maybe 4 things at once. If you get much beyond that, you begin to exercise poor judgment. You lose track of things and you lose your focus. How many times has that happened? Here are Levitin's top 10 for thinking straight. Are you ready to think straight? Well, number 1, do a brain dump. Get things out of your head. Getting things done productively, says Guru David Allen, recommends that you clear the mind. This means creating a big list of everything floating around in your head. Also, immediately writing down any thought that interrupts your workflow. Writing these thoughts down gets them out of your head, clearing your brain and clearing whatever's interfering with being able to make you focus. It also gives permission to your mind to relax its neural circuits so that we can focus on something else. Once on paper, prioritize the items into these buckets. Things to do today, things to delegate, things to do this week, and things to drop. Allen calls these categories do it, delegate it, defer it, drop it. If you find an item that just keeps lingering on your list, it might be ill-defined, not actionable. For instance, you may write, decide whether or not to buy a new car this year. That would be better broken down into subtasks, like find out what your car is worth on Kelley Blue Book, ask the car mechanic how much it would cost to keep your car on the road, etc. Number 2, follow the 2-minute rule. If you have a lot of little tasks, designate 45 minutes or an hour every day to plow through any of these items that will take you 2 minutes or less, like emails, phone calls, tidying up. You gotta be fast. Checking your financial accounts and so on. Number 3, clump together similar tasks. If you have several bills, pay them all at once. If you're going to clean the house, don't get distracted by reorganizing your closet. Completing each task once you begin it is another way of being efficient with your mental resources. It forces you to keep attention on one item for a span of time. This allows us to get more done and finish up with more energy. Number 4, the dreaded don't multitask. Oh, I'm so guilty of this. Multitasking costs you by forcing you to decide whether to answer or ignore a text, how you should respond, how you should file this email, whether you should stick with what you're working on or attend to the interruption. All those little decisions spend oxygenated glucose, the very fuel you need to focus on a task. Switching between tasks will actually make you feel exhausted, disoriented, and anxious. In contrast, once we engage the central executive mode, staying in that state uses less energy than multitasking and actually reduces the brain's need for glucose. Multitasking trips us up in other ways. Stanford neuroscientist Russ Poldrack found that for students who study and watch TV simultaneously, information that should go into the part of the brain for facts and storage may end up in the area for learning new procedures and new skills. If you find it especially hard to disengage, try adopting this one habit. I am the world's worst. I work on the internet, and I can't stand to just have one tab open. I am trying to force myself to maybe have 3 instead of 10. But I can find myself clicking from one to the next at a rapid speed. I can literally be down to the last sentence in an email and switch over to search something on the internet. It's bananas. I have to get a handle on it, and I'm going to start tomorrow. Who's with me? Number 5, limit the distractions of email. Just having the opportunity to multitask is detrimental to cognitive performance. Glenn Wilson of Gresham College in London found that having an unread email in your inbox while you're trying to complete a task can chop 10 points off your effective IQ. Wilson even showed that multitasking is even more of a detriment to memory and our ability to concentrate than smoking pot. Since having emails come in every few minutes is so bad for your decision-making skills and impairs judgment, Levitin recommends tricking your brain into staying on track. For instance, set aside 2 or 3 times a day to check email. Turn off notifications so you're not constantly being interrupted. Many people have their email programs set to put through arriving emails automatically or to check every 5 minutes. Think about that. If you're checking email every 5 minutes, you're checking it 200 times during the workday. Number 6, eat the frog first thing in the morning. Sounds crazy, right? We start each day with our energy for that day. As the day goes on, every decision, whether trivial or monumentous, consumes a bit of our glucose. Questions like, should I use blue or green as a pen color? Draws from the same energy store as, I've just been diagnosed with an illness and I need to adopt a new strategy. Important decisions should be made at the beginning of the day when gumption and glucose are at their highest. Oscar-winning producer Jake Eberts used to have the dictum, eat the frog. If you eat the frog first thing in the morning, the rest of the day goes much better. So whatever is the most unpleasant thing to do, do it first thing in the morning. Set aside that time with all distractions turned off and adopt the mindset that the task is the most important thing you could be doing at that time. Number 7, spend only as much time on decisions, tasks, and activities as they are worth. If you want to organize bills and receipts, there's no need to go to the stationery store, color code files, and spend the next 6 weekends organizing papers, unless you need to access those files all the time. If you're talking about organizing 5-year-old bills and receipts, just throw them in a box until you need them. Don't let your predisposition to over-organizing set your priorities. Not every task deserves the same level of attention. Number 8, take breaks. People who take 15-minute breaks every couple of hours are much more efficient in the long run. It gives the brain a chance to hit the reset button in the part of the brain called the insula. Taking a break, taking a nap, taking a walk, or listening to music, any of these activities, although most bosses would think that they're a waste of time, in fact, they're a big productivity and creativity booster. On average, a 15-minute nap can increase your effective IQ by 10 points. Though there are individual differences, most people, however, an hour or 2 is too long. So take the power nap. Number 9, let yourself daydream. One of my favorite things to do. The brain operates in 2 oppositional modes. One is when you're directing the thoughts, and the other is when the thoughts take over and run themselves. Directing mode is the one that allows us to get our work done, whether we're an office worker, chef, tile layer, but our minds can't stay in one gear all day long. In daydreaming mode, one thought melds into another, and they're not particularly related. This daydreaming mode acts as a neural reset button and replenishes some of the glucose used up in staying on task. It's also the great benefit of fostering creativity. The thoughts meander from one to the other, creating links between things we might not have seen as linked before. And from that may come the solutions to problems. Downtime is one of the 7 types of experiences your brain needs during the day. Number 10, push down authority. Managers tend to think the workers below them are just doing the work for the paycheck, but most workers report they love their jobs, even in jobs where you wouldn't think that's possible, like working in the city sewer system, having to shovel manure out of a stable, or people doing heavy labor with jackhammers. These might sound unpleasant, but for that reason, most workers like at least some autonomy. And that's great for managers who may be suffering from information overload, because they can then push down the authority and empower people under them to exercise their good judgment. Adopting new ideas and gaining a new perspective is all part of your new vantage point. So let's crawl back up there and look at that mouse maze that is information overload. From this height, you can see the pitfalls, mouse traps, if you will, that lie in wait for you at every corner. You have the power to share, learn, and grow while creating healthy boundaries to avoid these danger zones. It starts with knowing yourself. What's important to you? Not protecting an idea or belief that was handed to you to guard, but you really exploring your own feelings and eventually taking your own path. Without a strong core belief, it's easy to get pulled into the majority mosh pit. And before you know it, you're being transported to the stage on the hands of others. Trust yourself. Sit with your own ideas in a quiet space and believe in your intuition. Doesn't feel right? Instead of ignoring those feelings, explore them. Doing your own research starts with asking questions and challenging beliefs. Talk to people you trust. Read articles from reputable sources. Then be still and listen to your heart. I've been in sales my whole life. Polite persistence using the power of persuasion. Even though I've had a very successful career, there is always room for improvement. Do you think you can't teach an old dog new tricks? You're wrong. Do you believe you can't change the fabric of who you are and your core beliefs? You're right. So, as always, let's find a healthy balance. I love going to sales conferences. The energy and enthusiasm are contagious, and you leave feeling that rocky moment of being on the top of the stairs in Philly, pumping both hands in the air. Bring on Monday! Now, for a sales veteran, I might say, I've heard it all before. No reason to fix what isn't broken. This means I shut down and just enjoy the snacks and the camaraderie. But you can always learn something new, so keep your eyes peeled and your ears open. Send new information through your filter. Aha, that's very interesting. How does that apply to what I already understand? Could this enhance my perspective and give some new additional tools for my journey? What steps will I take to adopt and practice this new idea? The idea is not everything should or will be absorbed, but you should be open to the possibilities of picking up something new that could enrich your outlook, inform your ideas, and assist you in challenges ahead. So, what do you do with all the leftovers? What stays and what goes? Karen Young for Hey Sigmund shared 9 ways to tap into your intuition. and why you want to. Did you know intuition exists in all of us, whether we acknowledge it or not? The more we can learn about it, the more we can use it to shape our lives for the better. The human brain has two operating systems. The first is quick, instinctual, and effortless. This is where our intuition lies. Intuition works by drawing on patterns collected by our experience. And when we have to make a quick decision about whether something is real, fake, feels good, feels bad, right or wrong, we draw on these patterns. It all happens offline, outside of our conscious awareness. The second operating system is slower to respond. It's more analytical and deliberate, and it's conscious. Every person on the planet has intuition, but not every person listens or chooses to listen to it. Intuition is the way the subconscious mind communicates with the conscious mind. The information that informs that feeling is real. It's like any other decision, but the workings of it, the collection, the storage, the putting together, happen outside of our conscious mind. So intuition is a brilliant thing. The sharper it is, the better off you'll be. Here's how to feed yours so it's flourishing and it's ready to advise. Shh, listen. It sounds simple enough, and it is. No tricks here. Your intuition can't talk to you if you're not listening. When you start to take notice, good things will happen. Just try it and see. Trust your gut feeling. When a word like gut teams up with a word like feeling, you know there has to be a good reason. And there is. Research suggests that emotion and intuition have a physical presence in your gut. The gut is lined with a network of neurons and often referred to as a second brain. It's known as the enteric nervous system, ENS. And it contains about 100 million neurons, which is more than the spinal cord, and peripheral nervous systems, but less than the brain. This is why we get sick about having to make a tough decision or knowing we're making a bad one. Feel. You'll know your intuition is there because you'll be able to feel it if you let yourself. You'll feel it in your belly, and it will give you goosebumps on your skin, send a shiver down your spine, race your heart, and quicken your breath. Sometimes it's even more subtle, and the only way to describe it is a knowing feeling. You'll feel when something is right. It will feel clear, nourishing, and enriching. And you'll feel when something is off. Your stomach will ache and flatten. Trust your intuition. It might be difficult at first if you're not used to doing it, but give it time and trust it a bit. It feels better and it will be worth it. Be ready to let go of bad feelings. Negative emotions will cloud intuition, which is why when you're angry or depressed, bad decisions can happen so easily. Research has backed this up, finding that people made better intuitive choices in a word task when they were in a positive mood as compared to when they were in a negative mood. Be deliberate about the people you hang on to. People who drain you will add to the noise and make it more difficult to hear what your intuition wants you to hear. Chances are that you already know who they are. If not, be still for a moment. Your intuition will be trying to tell you. Keep people who enrich and empower you and walk away from those that drain you. Understandably, you can't always walk away from the troublesome ones, and if that's the case, empower yourself by making it your decision to stay rather than theirs. The difference is subtle in language, but big in impact. One lets the power stay with you, and one gives it over to them. Pay attention to what's going on around you. The more information you're able to gather from your environment, the more the intuitive, subconscious part of your brain has to work with, and the more accurately It will inform your decisions. Connect with others. There are so many things that inform our opinions and decisions other than speech. Tone, the volume of speech, body language, gestures, they all contribute to the meaning we give to our interactions with people. Sometimes we have a feeling about people, but can't quite put a finger on what it is. People might seem distant, distracted, uninterested, and often these aren't spoken but are picked up through a different way. The ability to pick up on the thoughts, feelings, and intentions of others is referred to as empathetic accuracy. The more time we spend with people, the more we can finely tune our empathetic accuracy. Being able to pick up on the signals of others will add to your intuition. Find time to be silent and still. Having solitude turns down the clamor of the world and allows you to tune in to your own intuition. Our intuition is always sending warnings and encouragement, but often we're too busy to notice. Let your mind wander and be open to what comes to you, feelings, thoughts, or words. One of the ways to do this is through mindfulness. By focusing your thoughts on your own experience in the present moment, mindfulness gets rid of the mental clutter and makes way for you to connect with your intuition. Use your dream time well. Dreams are the brain's way of processing information that's left over from the day. They are rich with valuable data, experiences, memories, learnings. So they can work hard if we let them. Paying attention to dreams can provide information that we may not have access to when we're awake. Before you fall asleep, turn your thoughts to any unresolved issues or problems. Think about possible options or resolutions as you're falling asleep. Close your eyes and let your brain do the rest. But of course, intuition is powerful and it can lead to amazing insights. But that doesn't mean you follow it blindly. It's still important to use common sense and a balance of rationality. You need a balance of both. Call into play both the intuitive and rational parts of your brain to position yourself to reach the best decisions. We have been talking about sorting it out, what stays and what goes. And hopefully you found a few nuggets to help you get through the chaos. Know what to unpack and what to send packing. Every day it's a constant stream of information, ideas, and opinion. And if that isn't enough, everyone is sharing their own as well. Taking what you can use to enhance your own, avoiding the negative cesspool, and letting go of what doesn't serve you is a healthier alternative to burying your head in the sand. But even that has its place. So we talked about a lot of different things tonight. Most importantly, understanding you and your core beliefs is always paramount for your self-discovery journey. It's all about learning more about yourself. And yes, information comes and goes and influences and educates us. But what we have inherently at our core is what helps make that decision. So take it with a grain of salt. You've heard that many of times, probably even from your own family. Listen to someone, learn, try not to always insert your opinion. It's really difficult to learn when you're just trying to one-up the story. And then see what applies to your life. What can you pick up, enhance what you're doing, and take with you? And what do you have to leave behind? You can't absorb it all. It's impossible. We learn a lot about multitasking. Boy, that's one I'm going to take to heart. Really unplug. I have started doing that on the weekends, staying away from the computer, not checking my phone religiously, and just trying to enjoy this beautiful nature that's all around us. How important is that to just connect? You know, you can go anywhere you want to in your mind and on the web, but really getting out and smelling the fresh air and feeling the breeze and the heat of the sun, and the wind. It's just so important. So stay connected. Don't let all the negativity and all the directions and all the influences to sweep you up in this storm. You get to take control of what you feed your consciousness. It's up to you. You have the power to decide. If you want to share encouragementology with a friend who needs to know they are not alone in this journey of self-discovery, you can visit encouragementology.com or anywhere you stream your content to receive this episode and all others. Follow us on Facebook for additional encouragement throughout the week. So I challenge you, take what you want and need, release what you don't, and know you are in charge of the process. You have the power and the intuition to sort through and be selective. Find your gratitude and fight to keep it for a healthy protectant to get you through the chaos. I know you can do it. Thank you for listening to Encouragementology with Kendall Boyson, where we find positive ways to handle some of life's challenges.
I stumbled through until the path was clear. That's when I found you. How I wound up here. All I needed was a rock that I could lean on. All you needed was some wind beneath your wings. We might be seeing things from different points of view.